Welcome everybody to yet another challenger, PugnaciousPenguin going up against Luvnest. PugnaciousPenguin, also known in Twitch as a name I can't pronounce. It's German, I think. Drake is Hawk. I don't know. I have no idea. That's my best attempt. PugnaciousPenguin playing as Soviets on the right side. Luvnest playing as Oberkommando West. Interesting. He seems to be a lot stronger with Oster this patch, as are most people. But he's going to give OKW a try. Maybe he doesn't just want to play as Oster on this map. This can be a tough map for Oster on the left side for sure. OKW maybe thinks he'll have better luck. Going with two Volksgrenadier opening, throwing some wire in the center. Fortification, scavenge, and breakthrough for him. Penguin has shock rifle, guard motor, and shock motor. So these two we see extremely frequently. Guard's a lot more popular. Thank you for your $10 donation, SARS, but don't violate NDA. Don't do that. I don't like these NDA violations. But yes, thank you for your $10 donation. That's very generous of you. Again, by the way, I've honestly lost count of how many times you have donated to my stream, so thank you so much for keeping up that amazing support. Stern Pios making their way down the middle. Should probably be careful about trying to cross this road. They will be able to jump into green cover here on the truck. Conscripts jump into the building right here. Luvnest circling back. He's not going to be able to hold this munitions area for now. Volksgrenadiers are just going to grab the fuel and maybe try and stand in cover here by the cutoff. And Stern Pios are going to briefly harass the cutoff, which is kind of dangerous, but since both conscript squads went north, they should be okay for a little while against these combat engineers. Luvnest is going to charge into close range before these Stern Pios can arrive, and he does have a green cover position right there against them as they approach, but he may choose to leave it to get into close range on those combat engineers, so he's probably going to get forced away after forcing this retreat. Meanwhile, here in the north, Volksgrenadiers managed to take building control when the conscripts left the building to grab the munitions point. Over here, the engagement for the fuel will not go in Luvnest's favor, though, and he's forced to retreat. Stern Pioneers do force a retreat from combat engineers and then jump back into their green cover position to delay the advance of these conscripts, but they can't win this engagement. They're just going to stall for the capture of these territories. Conscripts get into medium range in yellow cover. Stern Pios have green, and Luvnest will probably retreat after he loses one more model on this squad if he doesn't just retreat when their health starts falling pretty low. Conscript squad harassing the fuel does not get it captured, but does get it decaptured before trying to soft retreat away, having fallen quite low in HP right there. And the Volksgrenadier squad in the house seems to be losing against the conscripts there. Wow, the Stern Pios are winning that engagement. Even with yellow cover, those conscripts just couldn't win that. At that medium range, Stern Pios are just too awesome. Kind of surprised by that. I think there was a little bit of RNG involved in Luvnest winning that engagement. And those Sterms are now up to Vet 1. Conscripts moving around the south flank will snipe a model and force the retreat, so Luvnest does have to get out of there, but he's off to a pretty good start with that Stern Pio squad, and he's stalled for the capture of the fuel here in the south for quite a long time. Volksgrenadiers in this building are going to have to get out of there. They're falling pretty low. Another squad of Volksgrenadiers has arrived to help in this engagement. There they go. And this squad will continue circling around the north to get control of the strategic fuel and victory points. Oorahing into the building, those conscripts will be able to bleed these Volksgrenadiers a little, but there's only 3 squad members remaining, and nobody is on their way to support. Tier 3 up from Luvnest, and since he does have Vet 1 on his Stern Pios, we might actually see the legendary medical supplies deployed this game. Doesn't have battle group headquarters for healing, so that'll be his only access to healing, and I'm curious to see if he'll find that worthwhile or not. I've seen it very, very rarely, but this is generally the situation that those things pop up, so it could happen. And Luvnest is off to a pretty strong start this game. Pretty strong start, taking a pretty decent hold on the north resources, the way left side axis tends to need to do. And no fuel transfer. I'm going to wait a little while before getting that flak half-track on the field, but it is almost certainly on its way. Stern Pios win that engagement quite well, and Luvnest has no choice but to engage with low health Stern Pios if he doesn't heal using the medical supplies because of no battle group headquarters. He did have to charge across somewhat open ground on those conscripts. but he wins the engagement, forces another retreat, and Volksgrenadiers move up a little bit to take control of the church right here. More Volksgrenadiers moving up the right side to get more strategic points coming in, more resource income, and a fourth squad of Volksgrenadiers is freshly fielded here on the left to start taking territory in the south. And there's the medical supplies. Nice. Alright. Called it. So Sturm Pioneers will have access to healing there in the base, and again, it's important to keep that squad healed. It's expensive. It's maybe overly expensive. I think 40 munitions is kind of a lot for three healed squads, but Luvnest will find that worthwhile for his Sturms. It's probably more worthwhile on Sturms than on Volksgrenadiers, really. Volksgrenadiers will start healing on their own at Vet 3, and since it's a 5-man squad that engages at long range from in cover, they don't need to engage at full health nearly as badly as Sturm Pios do, so I could definitely understand that usage there by Luvnest. Sturm Pioneers making their way into the church right here to engage against these shock troops. Might be able to do a little damage to them at this medium range. There's a grenade going into the... smoke grenade going into the building. Interesting. Luvnest will just jump back inside. And there's a frag grenade going in next. He'll dodge again and probably be forced to retreat. Jumps back in the building. May exit the north door for his retreat, or just stick around. This is a dangerous engagement to stick around and no, there he goes. That's Vet 2 on those Sturms, though. They're off to a great start this game, and here comes the flak half-track to push those shock troops off the field. Shock troops on the field means that Pugnacious Penguin has chosen either shock rifle or shock motor. Luvnest doesn't know for sure. Shock motor would be ISU, and shock rifle is IS2. Shock rifle is generally the more likely one, especially on Colony Fermo. We've seen that many times. In fact, this is good old-fashioned shock rifle versus fortifications meta, which is pretty dead this patch, honestly. It stuck around for a little while, but you barely see fortifications anymore, but we're going to see it this game. There's another usage of the healing crates, and they're gone. So Luvnest probably also healed a Volksgrenadier squad at some point, but 2 of those crates went to Sturm Pio healing. Not any huge surprise there. And the flak half-track will engage against conscripts in this building. What was that? Wow, full Volksgrenadier squad just died on a mine. A full 5-man squad. Ouch, that sucks. MG34 on the field. There's tier 2 from Luvnest. He's probably going to replace that lost Volksgrenadier squad. Black half-track will suppress a shock troop squad and a conscript squad in one burst. Wow, that was a great burst. I don't think that could have gone better for Luvnest. Shuts down both of those infantry squads before they can do anything, and wasted a smoke grenade and oorah. Over here on the right side, Volksgrenadiers engaging against conscripts. Look like they might win. Conscripts are at about half health with only 4 models remaining. Black half-track rotating towards the cutoff to try and shut down this push by these 2 conscript squads. Luvnest needs to be careful because there is AT grenade research, and he probably knows that his opponent tried to oorah towards him in the last engagement, so that's an extremely good chance of AT grenades. He didn't really have any reason to bluff in that engagement. One shot will suppress the squad, and Sturm Pios look like they're going to keep that squad suppressed in red cover. That squad is pinned, and over here another conscript squad is moving to try to set something up. Sturm Pios forced the retreat right there. There they go. Flak half-track will fire on a flamethrower, and possibly also conscript squad here in the road, and it looks like Luvnest will completely contain Pugnacious Penguin here. Volksgrenadiers taking control of the victory point here in the north. Sturm Pios moving to grab the fuel there in the south.
The enemy is taking what we have secured.
And a field gun is in production from a tier 2 structure here.
Engineer standing by.
Penguin's definitely going to need to make good use of that to get Luvnest off of his cutoff and get some fuel coming back in. He's not going to be able, I mean, even going con spam straight to Collins isn't going to work if he can't at least hold the fuel point and cut off right outside of his base. Luvnest has him very contained right now, and there's no armor on the way, no Soviet armor on the way for an extremely long time. So he needs to break this containment with his tier 2 and tier 0 call-in shock troop, whatever, this composition, and he needs to do it soon. Stern Piles will finish capturing this fuel point here in the south, and having 2 fuels coming in is an extremely powerful thing for OKW. Luvnest might even be able to go to tier 4 from this point. Or just Jagdpanzer, but I don't think he has to go Jagdpanzer. I think he could quite realistically make it to tier 4 on this amount of map control and start making tier 4 units by the time he needs like a Panther to fight against the IS-2, for example. Smoke grenade. Attack ground through the smoke, not doing that much. They will get the victory point captured, but Folks Grenadiers show up to get the point back under their control. Green cover going up here. Not that that's really all that useful. Allowing him to engage. If Luvnest maybe overextends down this road, but it doesn't seem likely that he will do so. Another feeble attempt for this cutoff gets easily shut down. Penguin's going to have to make a much more coordinated effort for a particular front if he wants to break through anywhere. MG34 in this building is going to shut down this very mild harassment by just 2 conscript squads, and if Luvnest chooses to throw a grenade here, he'd probably take the engagement. There it is. Plus flak half track moving up. And there's the retreat. Cutoff retaken. Fuel continues to be held by Luvnest. And he has gone tier 4, and I think he's gonna probably go straight for Panther. If he were to go Panzer II, it'd be a little risky. He'd be helpful against what he's up against, obviously, but it'd be risky because he's already dropped so much fuel on tech, and this flak half track probably doesn't want to wait too long to make it to the IS-2, but he still has a double fuel coming in, so he probably could do it. He's just gonna go with Obersoldaten instead, though. Pretty reasonable, sensible choice. And he's currently got munitions transfer going. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what the deal is with that. Maybe he just wants to spam mines and grenades and munitions abilities. Kind of interesting to see that at 13 minutes into the game. That's extremely unusual in my experience. I'm a little curious about what his intent is there. Maybe he wants to crank up Panzerschreck production? No, not really. He has 1. It's not that many. I'm not sure. Here comes a big push for the munitions and fuel in the north, and it looks like it's finally going to succeed. Grenade into the house will force that retreat. Folks Grenadiers can't stick around too long with those shock troops coming. There they go. Black half track is going to pop smoke to try and get itself to safety, and Stern Pioneers are here to maybe bleed some squads on their advance. Tier 4 structure will prevent capture of the cutoff right there, and that squad has to retreat. Stern Pioneers don't like that engagement, will retreat away from those shock troops, despite the fact that they're extremely wounded. Seriously though, Luvnest has almost no munitions. Where's it all going? With plus 88 coming in, I don't understand where the munitions is being spent. There's 160 munitions LMG right there. Still only 1 Panzerschreck. He must have just planted mines everywhere or something. I don't think he's thrown that many grenades, has he? I don't see any shoe mines anywhere. Where's all that munitions going? I'm so confused.
Command level capabilities ready for deployment.
I guess it's just taking a little while for it to kick in. I don't know. He did spend 60 on that LMG, I guess.
Squad numbers back at full.
Starting to tick up pretty quick now, up to already back up to about 100.
Taking fire! Group ready.
Obersoldaten should maybe back up away from that flamethrower a little bit. There's 1 crit. Grenade toss? No. Back up, Obersoldaten. Flamethrower to death. What's he waiting for? Ah, he's taking a lot of damage in this engagement. Will force the retreat though. Flak half track firing on them as they retreat. AT gun, second AT gun right there, forces the flak half track to reposition slightly. Luvnest will block this retreat path with a sandbag ghost. He tried to complete it, but he won't. He just doesn't have time. Oh, nice nade. Nice reaction, too. Pretty sneaky. Penguin was paying attention and will retreat. MG-34 firing from within the church. There's a second Panzerschreck out. This squad might get wiped. Oh, that late retreat. Wow, why did they retreat? That was such an easy wipe right there. Retreating across red cover from 4 conscripts. That was a wipe for sure. I can't believe he retreated from that engagement. Shock troops face dive into a flak half-track and are immediately forced back again right there. By the way, this containment has lasted, I think, almost 6 or 7 minutes of Luvnest having both fuel points. That is extremely, extremely bad. This flak half-track is up to Vet 2 with 20 kills and is just bleeding Penguin hard, who is still slowly trying to make his way towards his Collins. He doesn't have the CPs for KV-8 yet. Luvnest is pretty sort of prepared for that. He still has quite a bit of fuel to go before he has a Panther, and he's switched off munitions transfer, by the way. Probably looking at his own CPs and knowing that a KV-8 could arrive soon. He switches back to fuel transfer. 34 fuel coming in now, and he's going to try and get that Panther out as quick as he can. In addition to 3 Panzerschrecks now purchased, and probably a Rakettenwerfer sometime in the near future. He's floating a little bit of manpower. Or Pack 43 could also be good, and he certainly has plenty of options on where to place it since he has such aggressive map control. You can put it pretty much anywhere on the map. I'm expecting him, if he does build it, to put it in the standard location right there behind that house, but we'll see what he chooses to do. MG-34 set up in the north will force this retreat here in the south. Black half-track set up right there. There's the KV-8, by the way. Panther still not quite available. KV-8's going to force some retreats here from the center. That squad could very definitely get wiped. Maybe. KV-8 did not chase for some reason, and that will get away. Prioritizing the wipe of this Sternpio squad instead, which also gets away very narrowly. Luvnest has quite a bit of fuel, or manpower float right now, though, so it'll probably be okay. AT gun gets a lucky crit on that flak half-track, damaging its engine. KV-8 looks like it wants to get pretty aggressive. There's the Panther in production from Luvnest. Somehow managed to pull off Tier 3 to Tier 2 to Tier 4 to Panther with flak half-track, and get that Panther out in a comparable amount of time to that KV-8 hitting the field. All he has to do is make sure the KV-8 does not destroy this Tier 4 structure before the Panther completes, and I think he should be able to prevent that from happening, but it will go down very quickly. That Rakettenwerfer absolutely must push it off the Tier 4 right now. It is going down very fast. Go, Rakettenwerfer. Where's the Panzerschreck blob? He needs to get that thing out of there. Stern Pioneers need to get that thing repaired if they can. Rakettenwerfer does not currently have a line. Oh my god, if this Panther does not complete. I don't think it's going to, because this Rakettenwerfer is just playing Ring Around the Rosie instead of firing at that KV-8, and I think that Panther's not going to come out. No Panther for Luvnest. At least I think he's going to kill this thing. He'll trade, right? Unless this Panzerschreck shot bounces, which it might. And I think that KV-8 is going to get away. Maybe. It's sticking around a little longer than it probably should in this engagement. Volksgrenadiers. Whoa. Wow. Get a miracle long shot off, but Panzerschreck shot bounces again. Here in the south, one-man Obersoldaten squad hits a mine. I think. That's what it looks like happened. But the flamethrower squad that planted the mine, wow, dies. But it doesn't matter because of victory points. I wasn't even watching the victory points, but a triple cap has been going against Penguin pretty much this entire time. And even though he has managed to stop the clock briefly, Obersoldaten were taking control of the South VP, and there it is. GG for Luvnest. And nice attempt, I guess, with the KV-8 to try and shut Luvnest down and break the containment, but it was just too late.